Hi folks, I'm Joel. And if you've been following along in our Composable series, you'll have seen that there's a different way to set up your internal infrastructure, especially around your digital properties like your website, your apps, or other places where you want your content to go and be interacting with all the different tools that you use in your system. And if you're coming from something like a DXP or you've got more traditional tools, the hardest thing can be, how do I get from point A, where I've got what I've got now, to point B, where I want to replace it with a composable architecture? That might be a long time to kind of pull a lot of different things out of your business and change business processes. Let's talk today about how we can incrementally adopt composable technologies without having to completely rebuild everything all at once. Let's dive in. We got some diagrams to show you. So I've made the assumption that your current state might be some kind of DXP system, or it could just be a traditional CMS. At any rate, all of that stuff, if you have any kind of traditional system going on, whether it be a CMS or a DXP, you're going to essentially have it all encapsulated in a website. And it can be really daunting if you're thinking about, I want to change my website over to a new framework, or I want to use a new headless system, want to take advantage of some new technology, or maybe you just don't even want to renew with your current vendor because it's going to be too expensive. Whatever your motives are, there's a way to work around that in an incremental way. And if you think about it, the website's the most important piece there in many cases. So if you think about it, let's think about putting the website behind a CDN. First of all, you're going to get a lot of performance, potentially performance improvements right out of the box. So that's kind of nice. But what it also means is that we can direct traffic to that website or another website. And what I'm proposing as part of this incremental adoption is that you build a new website, but only build a little bit of it at a time. Maybe just the homepage, so you can get a new splashy homepage that performs really, really well. Maybe a news section, whatever the content pieces are that are really important to you, that are not that hard to implement, but they're going to give you a really big impact. And your links have to match up and all that sort of stuff. But we can direct traffic now from the CDN to the old website for everything except for what's been implemented in the new website. And if you were thinking of, oh my gosh, it's going to take, years to migrate everything over from the old website, if you only have to build a little bit at a time, you can start thinking in terms of months, maybe a couple months, maybe even 6 weeks. If you've already done a lot of the work around information architecture, wireframes, maybe you even have designs for the new website. It's amazing how fast that will start going, because a lot of people are going to be energized by that new website, especially if you can get it out the door quickly and get it behind that CDN and start actually routing traffic to it. And then the old website starts to become smaller. The new website can start to become a more major piece as you implement more sections of your website and move stuff over. And what's nice about that is you're going to find things in your old website that you forgot you even had, and you can leave them as they are for now and not have to worry about spending months and months trying to figure out, sometimes even figure out how they even worked before you migrate those over to the new website. So if you don't have to spend all that time and actually start getting some lift from the new things that you're building, it's amazing how fast your new website adoption will be. And then eventually the new website will be all that you have as you phase out the old stuff that you've done. Look, you've implemented the first piece of a composable system. And in this case, the composable system only had one composable piece, and it was headless CMS. And if you've watched the previous videos, that's what I recommended as the first composable piece of an architecture that you take, because it tends to be the thing that the other ones kind of revolve around. It gives you the content for your website or for your apps or wherever you want to send your content to. Now you've got this kind of omni-channel strategy that you kind of get out of the box with a headless CMS. And now that you've got your website implemented, or a portion of your website, you can start thinking about the other composable pieces of the architecture that you want to implement. Potentially you want to look at something like commerce, search, or analytics. All of these can be added on once you've chosen your CMS and you've started implementing things. And once you get comfortable with these vendors, you can understand that it's usually a lot less expensive. The time to market is really fast, especially if you choose this incremental approach, because you're starting small. You're not starting with this big project where you can't even hold it all in your head. You start small, and with an incremental adoption, it's going to come out really fast and you're going to have a really good solution.